Many people hesitate to plug in their phones before heading to bed, fearing they might overcharge by morning and cause the battery to wear out faster. However, this concern is entirely groundless. Contemporary devices are more intelligent than you might expect. They are equipped with charge controllers that instantly sever the power supply the moment the 100% mark is reached. From that point on, a microcycle begins. The energy level dips to 99.9%, prompting the regulator to reactivate the replenishment process. This sequence repeats throughout the night, effectively ruling out any risk of overloading. Incidentally, we are far more attached to our digital companions than we realize. Research shows that, on average, we glance at the display every 6 to 10 minutes. A power user will touch that glass surface more than 2,600 times a day. Another popular tactic is charging in flight mode, often called airplane mode in the US. The claim is that this accelerates the powering up process. While this is theoretically accurate, disabling network searches and Wi-Fi reduces the strain on the cell. Any noticeable time saved remains negligible. There is also no need to dread system updates. A persistent rumor suggests that manufacturers deliberately slow down older models to pressure us into purchasing a successor. In reality, keeping software up to date is vital for data security. If a fresh version runs less smoothly on aging hardware, there is a straightforward explanation. New features simply require more resources. This isn't an industrial conspiracy. It's the logical result of increasing technical requirements. Granted, a well-known scandal came to light in 2017 when Apple officially admitted to purposely throttling the clock speed of older iPhones, a move for which the company was fined. However, that incident remains an outlier and has not occurred again. To this day, many people firmly believe that a phone must regularly be drained completely to 0% to train the battery. The assumption persists that the notorious memory effect will occur, causing the energy cell to lose a massive amount of its capacity. However, this rule of thumb has long been a thing of the past, just like the nickel batteries found in older mobile devices. Modern lithium-ion units do not experience this phenomenon. For them, a deep discharge to absolute zero is by no means beneficial. It is simply harmful. Engineers suggest maintaining the charge level within a sweet spot between 20% and 80%. This is the best method to ensure a long life for the battery. Frequent, brief top-ups throughout the day are much gentler on the hardware than one exhausting cycle from rock bottom all the way to 100%. By the way, just because your gadget is labeled as waterproof doesn't mean it is invincible. Usually, this protection only covers accidental splashes. Corrosive saltwater or high pressure can rapidly destroy the sensitive electronics. Intriguingly, the Japanese market plays a unique role in this regard. Almost every current model there is truly sealed against moisture. The reason is straightforward. Local youth are so accustomed to daily life with their smartphones that they even take them into the shower. Similarly, a fear exists regarding using a mobile during a storm, as it supposedly attracts lightning like a magnet. That is a total misconception. Current device casings contain far too little metal to function as a lightning rod. While being outdoors during a thunderstorm is generally risky, there is no need to worry specifically about your digital companion. Many people remain convinced to this day, the more megapixels a camera possesses, the more brilliant the shots will be. However, This figure merely provides information regarding resolution and image size, essentially, the sheer level of detail. The actual quality of a photograph is determined by entirely different factors. Astronomical pixel counts are often little more than a clever marketing ploy designed to entice us with impressive-sounding statistics. To be sure, resolution plays a role, but it is far from the defining characteristic. Much more vital is the harmonious synergy of the physical hardware. The dimensions of the image sensor, the construction of the lenses, the processor's output, and, above all, the software that intelligently processes every subject. Tech giants like Apple, Google, Samsung, and leading Chinese manufacturers have long since demonstrated that combining robust hardware with advanced algorithms yields far superior results than simply chasing resolution records. In tandem with this, another stereotype has firmly taken root: the notion that Android smartphones inevitably begin to stutter over time. A decade or so ago, this truly reflected the situation, back when the operating system couldn't yet efficiently manage its storage via the so-called trim command. But since the release of Android 4.3, this concern has been decisively consigned to history. Current mobile handsets, fitted with lightning-fast UFS drives and perfectly calibrated firmware, effortlessly maintain their high performance for many years. The conviction that rice is the best solution for rescuing a damp gadget is, in reality, a dangerous misconception. This grain simply soaks up moisture far too slowly. While it is still at work, corrosion is already ravaging the circuit boards deep within the hardware. Furthermore, fine dust and starch can clog the ports, creating additional complications. A far better approach is to power down the unit instantly, wipe it completely dry, and leave it in a well-ventilated spot. Even more effective are silica gel packets, those tiny sponge beads found inside showboxes or new suitcases. Should your DIY revival efforts fall short, it is highly recommended to take the smartphone to a professional repair shop without delay. On a side note, the record for the all-time best-selling mobile still belongs to the legendary Nokia 1100. Since its debut in 2003, over 250 million people globally have purchased one. This modest classic outperformed even the biggest iPhone hits and the PlayStation 2 console in terms of popularity. The model was prized primarily for its near-indestructible build and a battery that seemingly lasted for an absolute eternity.
Technology evolves faster than our habits. Countless rules of etiquette from the keypad phone era around 2005 have long since morphed into persistent myths. Nowadays, smartphones are surrounded by even more legends than the Egyptian pyramids. It is hard to believe, but a standard gadget today is millions of times more powerful than the computers that once propelled the Apollo 11 mission to the moon. Let's examine 10 popular misconceptions that cause us completely unfounded anxiety.
The fear that background apps might slow down your smartphone or drain the battery leads many of us to swipe applications away almost obsessively. While we often believe this lightens the load on the system, in reality, this reflex is not only useless but can sometimes even be counterproductive. Modern operating systems like iOS and Android are absolute masters of memory management. Processes left in the background are essentially frozen and consume virtually no power. Forcing an application to close, only to restart it later, puts significantly more strain on the processor than a gentle wake-up from standby mode. Another common misconception concerns connectivity. We frequently assume that Wi-Fi is inherently more reliable and swifter than a cellular network. Yet, public hotspots pose a considerable security risk, whereas in practice, the 5G standard often outpaces even a congested home router. Indeed, global statistics bring some startling truths to light. According to UN data, more people worldwide today have access to a mobile connection than to a private flushing toilet. Even when naming their devices, manufacturers embrace a touch of mystery. You would look in vain for an iPhone 9 or a Samsung Galaxy S11. Apple skipped the number 9 entirely, unveiling the anniversary iPhone X, the Roman numeral 10, in 2017. Samsung followed a similar path, jumping directly from the S10 series to the S20 so the designation would align perfectly with its release year, 2020. The assumption persists that an internet connection is faster when more bars fill the display. In reality, having full bars merely provides information about the signal strength to the nearest cell tower, but not about the actual quality of the connection. If thousands of people log on simultaneously in a stadium, data throughput drops towards zero, even if the screen signals maximum reception. Another preconception concerns security. Many are convinced that iPhones are immune to viruses. That simply isn't true. While Apple's closed ecosystem makes the smartphone a tough nut to crack, it is by no means invulnerable. Modern spyware can certainly compromise iOS, which is why caution remains advisable even for Apple users. Our perception frequently plays tricks on us in surprisingly clever ways. Around 80% of mobile phone owners believe they occasionally feel their device vibrating in their pocket, although no calls or messages have come in. This is referred to as phantom vibration syndrome. The brain becomes so accustomed to constant notifications that it mistakes a simple muscle twitch or the friction of fabric for an alert. Curiously enough, people have turned technology into a quirky competition. In Finland, for instance, World Mobile Phone Throwing Championships have been held since the turn of the millennium. Participants compete in distance and throwing technique, transforming the disposal of old electronic waste into a truly thrilling spectacle. The concern that living in close proximity to a mobile phone mast harms your health is one of the most persistent fears of our time. The sight of a massive steel tower with its emitters looming directly outside the window frequently triggers deep unease. However, those residing in a building equipped with such a system, or living immediately beneath it, are actually in what is known as a radio shadow. Since the primary signal travels far above, the radiation exposure in an apartment directly under the station is often many times lower than in the building opposite, which the antenna effectively has in its sights. At a distance of 50 to 100 meters, or roughly 165 to 330 feet, the typical gap to the nearest residence, the background radiation levels are already comparable to those of a standard Wi-Fi router. The paradox here is that your own smartphone can be far more aggressive than any cell tower. If the signal from the base station is weak, perhaps due to a great distance, the handset ramps up its transmission power to the maximum to maintain a stable connection. During a call, the device is held only millimeters or about a fraction of an inch from your brain. At that moment, the radiation dose is significantly higher than that of a distant cellular transmitter. Consequently, it is often even safer to live 100 to 200 meters, or about 330 to 650 feet, away from the facility. The phone detects the excellent reception and operates at its minimum output level. Furthermore, strict legal limits apply. Operators simply cannot run their equipment with enough energy to grill neighboring homes. Doing so would result in immediate fines and decommissioning. The only scientifically proven effect of radio waves at these frequencies is thermal in nature, meaning a very slight warming. To actually feel this on your own body, however, you would have to climb the mast and embrace the active hardware for hours on end. There is a common fear that mobile emissions could damage DNA or cause cancer. Yet the reality is different. This technology uses non-ionizing waves. Unlike X-rays, they simply lack the energy to destroy molecules or trigger cellular mutations. Additionally, every smartphone undergoes specific absorption rate certification, which guarantees its safety. In decades of extensive research, conducted under the auspices of the WHO, among others, no link has ever been established between mobile communications and the development of tumors. Many are firmly convinced that smartphones are constantly eavesdropping on us. In reality, however, applications only gain access to the microphone with your explicit permission. IT security experts have repeatedly confirmed that total surveillance simply does not take place. The truth is far more fascinating. Advertising algorithms from Google and Meta are so highly developed that they analyze search queries, locations, and even our social circles. They masterfully predict our desires, all without any secret listening. Similarly, we tend to meticulously keep technology away from magnets, fearing that important data might be erased. Yet modern flash storage remains completely unfazed. To cause serious hardware damage, a massive industrial electromagnet would be required. Even then, such a force would likely ruin the display or the digital compass before it ever touched your files. Moreover, an old legend stubbornly persists that a mobile phone could cause a gas station to explode because its signals supposedly generate sparks. As far back as 2003, the famous Mythbusters attempted in vain to ignite a fire using a handset. Since then, not a single confirmed case has been documented worldwide where a device caused a catastrophe at the pump. Real sparks during the refueling process result from static electricity instead, triggered, for instance, by synthetic clothing or friction against the car seat. Your smart gadget is, in any case, entirely innocent. Many people hesitate to use third-party power adapters, assuming a non-original charger might destroy their phone. In reality, only inferior counterfeits lacking essential safety features pose a genuine threat. Renowned brands, such as Anker, Baseus, Belkin, or Ugreen, are fully certified and entirely safe to use. In terms of performance, they often rival the originals while typically costing far less than official accessories from major manufacturers. The priority is simply ensuring the charging block matches the technical specifications of your gadget. It must provide the necessary wattage and support the appropriate fast charging protocols. A real risk only arises with generic, no-name products where manufacturers have cut corners on internal fuses and voltage regulators. Equally persistent is the notion that one must not interact with a mobile device while it is plugged in. This is a fallacy. Feel free to send texts or scroll through social feeds without a second thought. The only catch? Replenishing the battery takes slightly longer, as energy is being consumed simultaneously. Furthermore, the handset's outer shell may become a little warmer than usual. However, it is advisable to avoid graphically demanding 3D games during this window, as the resulting intense heat can degrade the battery's lifespan over time. Provided your hardware is intact and properly certified, normal everyday use poses absolutely no danger.
My concept for the Human Heritage Museum is a global initiative dedicated to preserving the life chronicles of every individual. While the main building honors those figures who shaped the course of world history, regional branches safeguard the memory of each citizen for their most distant descendants. By supporting this project, your name, too, will be immortalized in the central facility. This allows you to join the ranks of outstanding pioneers, explorers, and heroes whose paths inspire the world. It is a rare opportunity to transform earthly success into a timeless legacy, securing a place of honor for your family name in history right now. My book, Human Heritage Museum, Fundamentals, provides the essential wisdom to ensure you are never forgotten and remain eternally in the hearts of those who follow. For detailed information, please visit
Many firmly believe that incognito mode guarantees absolute invisibility on the web, but in reality, it is merely an illusion of privacy. This feature simply prevents your browsing history, passwords, and cookies from being stored on your specific device. Your IP address, however, remains visible. Consequently, your internet service provider, workplace system administrators, and the websites you visit can still track your activities. Beyond surfing, there are other essentials every user should know. To maintain stable system performance, a thorough digital spring clean is recommended once a month. Remove unused applications and clear the cache of your messages. Services like Telegram can swell to dozens of gigabytes. It is also worth checking your WhatsApp settings under Manage Storage to weed out particularly space-consuming attachments. Be rigorous when granting permissions. Many programs run in the background, harvesting data and unnecessarily draining the battery. A quick look at your privacy settings helps. It is best to grant access to the camera, microphone, and location only while using the app. A social network has no need for audio access if you don't use it for calls, and a simple flashlight or calculator definitely has no business in your address book. Never ignore system updates. These aren't just about new emojis. They are primarily critical security patches that close vulnerabilities, alongside vital performance optimizations. Updating promptly protects your personal sphere. Additionally, enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, for all relevant accounts. Passwords can be cracked. While SMS provides a solid baseline of protection, authenticator apps or modern passkeys act as an even more formidable bulwark against identity theft. Don't skimp on physical protection. High-quality tempered glass and a case with raised edges around the screen pay for themselves instantly. After all, they are hundreds of times cheaper than replacing a shattered display. This is especially essential for those with an active lifestyle. Protect your eyes by setting up blue light filters, such as night light or reading mode, on a schedule. The excessive glow of the panel suppresses melatonin production and disrupts falling asleep. Set the eye saver to activate automatically 2 hours before bedtime. Your brain will thank you. Give your smartphone an occasional restart. This simple act clears the RAM and resolves minor software glitches. Remember, too, that notifications are true attention vampires. To stay productive, configure focus profiles like work, home, or sleep. Avoid the distractions of social media during office hours and consistently mute business messages at night. Maintain good hygiene. Your digital companion is among the dirtiest objects in daily life. Clean the handset regularly with a microfiber cloth lightly dampened with 70% isopropyl alcohol or a specialized display cleaner. Avoid aggressive cleaning agents to ensure you don't strip away the glass's protective oleophobic coating. Furthermore, keep an eye on energy efficiency. Manually disabling Bluetooth and GPS barely saves any battery life on modern hardware. However, in the subway or places with dead zones, switching to airplane mode helps immensely, preventing the device from wasting all its power on a desperate search for a network. A mobile phone is replaceable, but unique holiday footage is not. Imagine if your phone fell into water tonight. Would everything be lost forever? If so, you should set up an automatic backup to iCloud, Google Photos, or a computer. Memories shouldn't just sync without a trace. Check if the Find My Device feature is active. In the event of loss, the tracker can locate the phone on a map, emit an acoustic signal, or wipe personal data remotely. If charging only works at a specific angle, dust in the port might be the culprit. Carefully clean the connection using a wooden or plastic toothpick. Never use metal. And finally, fill out your emergency pass or medical ID. Information regarding blood type, allergies, and emergency contacts can be viewed by first responders even when the screen is locked. In an extreme situation, this is exactly what can save a life.
I look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Did this video give you valuable insights? If so, thank you for the like. And if you want to gain even more useful knowledge, subscribe to our channel.